Hi, my name is Tayden, and I'm with Aria, and we're basically going to be taking you through a Hugo Docsy tutorial, which is launching a Hugo website of the Docsy theme through GitHub pages. As you can see, we're on my own domain right now, taydenwhite.github.io, and I haven't done many customizations to the website yet, except for this tutorial. So step one is prerequisites. You can find these on the Docsy site before you begin. It's basically going to tell you everything that you need to install to your machine in order for the next couple steps to work. As long as you follow these instructions correctly for the specific type of machine you have, everything should work for the rest of the tutorial. Okay.
So step two is to run the website locally. So when you run the website locally, obviously it means that you're the only one who can access it, and it'll typically show up with a domain name of like localhost and then some sort of numbers, whether that's 1313 or if that's taken, it'll show up with like a different set of numbers. So what you're going to do is you're going to click the example site link that Tannen has up, and then you're going to go into the repository, and then you're going to click use this template in order to make your own Docsy repository. You can customize the repository name to really anything you want. You can call it, new Docsy, new site. You can really call it anything, and then you can just create the repository from there. So it's just going to be generating. And then the next step is to git clone the repository into VS Code or any other IDE. And then once you're there, you can just type in Hugo server in the terminal. You can just type in Hugo server from the root folder of the project in order to host the website locally. And then once this is done, you're just going to be able to, it'll directly give you a link of the localhost link. And then you can just directly access it. And then you can just click and then you can launch your own website locally. And then it can run. When you want to make updates, you can just access it through VS Code and you can make any modifications that you want locally. So, and then after that, you can, just save it. You have to push it, the changes, and then eventually the changes will update. So you can continuously make these changes and updates relatively easily, and then you can just kind of push it through.
So here we're in the GitHub repository, which I have clones to VS Code. Right now we are in the root directory, new Docsy. And once you've copied the code over, it should be as easy as saying Hugo server. And then as you can see, like Arya said earlier, we have the localhost link. And this is what is in here. So to give an example, if we go to content about update this, it will update here. The reason it updates here is because it's local. Once it's been deployed, you're going to have to actually commit your changes in order for it to show up on the actual website. So from here, we see that it works hosting locally. Now we're going to follow the instructions in order to deploy it on GitHub pages using Hugo's own instructions. So these first two steps have already been done. This third step, visit your GitHub repository. From the main menu, choose Settings, Pages. In the center of your screen, you will see this. Change the source to GitHub Actions. So in my personal experience, it is already on Actions, but I guess it wasn't in this case. So we change it to GitHub Actions. It wants us to create this file in the repository. You can do this on either VS Code or GitHub. I'm going to do it on GitHub because it's easier. You already have a .github folder, but you will probably need to create a workflows folder in order to put this hugo.yaml file inside of it. And then, like we say here, you want to use this YAML file that we've provided instead of this one that they've provided. Arya can explain what the issue was.
So the reason that the Hugo file that they provide doesn't work is because we already have npm installed, but you can, instead of having it, you have to leverage it to install Docsy instead of npx. So typically, when you run it through just the Hugo site without this these extra two lines where it's installing Docsy, which aren't just present, it would give you an error saying that npx wasn't installed. And regardless of whether you installed it or not, it doesn't matter because fundamentally it doesn't even rely on npx. It relies on kind of installing Docsy. So those other two lines are just to install Docsy, and then you can just since they're already there in the code, I just typed out run npm install and then save dev Docsy, and then those two lines help it to change from running from npx to Docsy directly, and then that solves many trials and many errors that we were previously attending to.
So you don't have to worry about this. We had to worry about it. Now it's just a copy and paste and a commit. You could obviously do this through VS Code, but you'd have to push your changes to this repository. And once you have that, you can see that there's an action going on. We can go into it, and this is essentially it building the website.
Typically, the process will be around a couple seconds. It shouldn't be longer than a minute. And as you can see, if you have any errors, they'll pop up here. But typically, as you can see, this is a brand new website that we just created, so there are no errors. So that might just be regarding your own installation in case you forgot to install something or type in a line of code. It'll tell you the error. But since Tatum has everything installed, it's pretty easy to work with.
Okay. Post checkout. Once this is successful, it'll move on to the deploy stage. This will take a bit of time, and then it'll tell you the URL. Typically, the URL is similar to this, where it's your username.github.io, and then the subpage is going to be the name of your repository. So here we go. Complete job. Evaluated environment URL, https tatenwhite.github.io, new docsy. And here you have it. This is a website that is up, that can be accessed by Aria, by you, by anyone. And it can be edited via this VS Code. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you get your website up and running. Customizing the content is a different story, but this is how you get up. So good.
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you.